Wow. So a former 9 Tray Blood OG gangster called Mel Murda, essentially a former OG of TEKASHI69, has sent an open letter to the judge begging and pleading. Now I find this quite ironic and quite funny given the situation and whatnot. This right here is meant to be an OG, and this is my problem, with crime and criminals and whatnot, because when they're selling drugs and they're destroying communities and whatnot, and let's get it right as well, these dons like Mel Murda, when the communities they're destroying, they're their own communities, they're their own people. They're not going and serving to nowhere else. They wouldn't dare. Same way when they get caught by the police, they put their hands up and please don't shoot. They lose. Suddenly, when they're serving up drugs and crime and killing each other, killing brothers, they're ruthless. Yeah, man, I'm a gangster. I'm a 9 Tray Blood. I'm a 9 Tray Blood. But when the police turn up, they put their hands in the air and say, please don't shoot me, officer. Please, all that ruthlessness goes out the window. Same now with Mel Murda here. Look, when he's serving drugs, shooting his brothers, killing his brothers' parents and whatnot, serving drugs to all of their families and whatnot, Mel Murda's on the road. Yeah, man, I'm a gangster. I'm a leader of the 9 Tray Bloods, man. I'm a leader of the 9 Tray Bloods. Giving it that one. Now, he's incarcerated. What's he doing? What happened to all the gangster? Same as Shotty. Shotty, when he thought it was all fun and games on the road, what was he saying? Yeah, man, we don't bend. We don't break. It's Treyway. He thought it was all fun and games, didn't he? Let's get it right. He thought it was fun and games. Same as Mel Murda. He thought it was a true. Yeah, man, I'm a gangster. I'm a 9 Tray Blood. My problem is, when you're on the street and you're killing your brothers and you're feeding them drugs and whatnot, not that it's, of course, people who take drugs have a level of responsibility. That said, it's supply and demand equally, in my opinion. The people who demand it must take half the responsibility. The people who supply it must take the other half. Plus, you have to take into account the people who supply the narcotics, they're actually profiting from it. People who take drugs don't really profit. In fact, they're the ones who end up destitute and broke and whatnot. So these people are benefiting more so, in my opinion. The supply benefits more than the demand. But no one could take drugs if there weren't any. That said, either way, my point is, when Mel Murda was on road and he was racketeering, extorting people, robbing people, killing people, selling this and all that sort of business, he was ruthless. He was known as a 9 Tray Blood and he loved it. Now all of a sudden, he's denouncing it. Oh, Manger, please help me, Judge. I'm sorry, I just want to get back to my kids. But why weren't you thinking about getting back to your kids? Rather than writing a letter now when it's all fun and games, why weren't you thinking about your wife and kids before doing this stuff? And what gets me particularly about Mel Murda is the fact that he was relatively successful in other things, in music and whatnot. But still, he couldn't help greed, couldn't help himself. Why didn't you use them other aspects, the music stuff, and do it legitimately? Why did you have to take yourself back into... This is what they do. A lot of these people do it. People like Chris Brown, massively successful within music. Even Tekashi, massively successful within music. But they want to be associated with these hoodlums. They ain't going nowhere. The only place they're going is jail. And look now, the big OG, Mel Murda, out here begging. Please, Judge, I want to get... No, and I really hope the judge takes his letter and slaps it back in his face. No, you are where you're supposed to be, because you should have thought about that. And what gets me is, before this big sentence, Mel Murda has been in jail before. He's been incarcerated before. So my thing is, those that can't hear must feel. In as much as, why is it taking you to get a big 10, 15, 20 year bid for you to suddenly realise that you're hurting your kids and you've done wrong? Why couldn't you have noticed it on the shorter sentences you've got before in the past? So no, you clearly, you're trying to manipulate the system. And no, let's get it right. The judge will know that. These judges deal with them type of people all day long. They'll know he's just trying to play the system. You ain't playing no system. You're going to have a whole lot of time to carry on thinking about all the wrong stuff. I just want to get back to my kids. Yeah, well, you should have been thinking about that when you was killing your brothers, serving this up, serving that up. That's how it goes, yeah? The world don't forget. Yeah, God doesn't forget. And that's what a lot of these roadmen, they overlook that part. Yeah? There will be karma. You will get yours. And the thing is, historically speaking, all of these OGs, all of these so-called OGs, all of these 9 Tray Bloods, my problem is, none of them have any success stories. Why is it so attractive for? Who do you know has made it successfully to 60, 70 years old and have all this money and all this wealth? Who? None of them do. They all end up in jail for 30 years or dead. It sounds cliche, but it's the truth. And people like Mel Murda, he should have been on the road actually promoting the right things. He had the ability to do that. Instead, he encouraged others to act stupid. Anyway, let me read to you how desperate this letter is. This is what Mel Murda actually said. To me right now, the most important company to keep is that of my family and children, writes Jones. See what I mean? Who faces a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison for racketeering conspiracy charge and up to 40 years for one count of participating in narcotics distribution, aka killing his brothers and sisters for his own profitable benefit. Bottom line, because they ain't serving to the white community, they ain't serving to the Asian community. They're in their own communities. They're poisoning their own communities, rightly or wrongly. Of course, like I said, people who demand the product are also to blame, but supply is at least 50% of the blame here, because you can't demand it, you can't consume it without the supply of it. So both sides have got to take responsibility here, and the problem is, people who consume the product, they do take responsibility because they end up dead, they end up in debt, and whatever. Yeah? The difference is the people who supply the product, they don't want to pay their part. They don't want to pay their debt to society. People who consume it, they pay it via bad health, via losing all their money. They pay their debt. This dude don't want to pay his debt. He's done the crime, but he don't want to do the time now. And now he wants to cry about, to me right now, my most important company to keep is that of my family and children. Well, guess what, Mel Murda? You should have been thinking about your family and your children when you was on road serving narcotics to other people's family and other people's children. You should have thought about your family and children. You should have took your sorry ass back to your family and children instead of being on road and racketeering. Anyway, it goes on. Please allow me to return to them as soon as possible. See what I mean? My problem is, he's already talking about what he wants. That's what he's gone wrong here. He should have started out repenting for his sins first. You can't come at the judge and start saying, I want this, I want that. You ain't in no position to make no demands. You should be repenting. And then maybe slip it in at the end. Oh, by the way, if you could give me a grown-up here, I'll appreciate it. Don't start. These dudes, this is the problem, you see. Because on road, they've got a bit of respect and whatever, a bit of road credit and whatever. They think that they have some level of importance, like as if the big institutional machine won't just churn them up and spit them out like dirt rat. That's what they are. They're dirt rats. They don't get it though. They've got an inflated sense of worth here. He actually believes that the judge owes him something. Please allow me to return to them as soon as possible. Do you know how arrogant that sounds? You're looking at a 30-year charge, yeah, for racketeering. There's nothing soon as possible about it. You've got a lot of time to be thinking about what you shouldn't have been doing, boss man. Nothing about because you could. Let's get it right. No one took the right of you being with your wife and children away from you. You took it away from yourself because instead of being on the road racketeering, you could have been with your sorry ass children and your sorry ass wife. You made the choice. Now live with it. And there's certain dons, who I respect. As an example, Freeway Ricky. When he went jail, he got out on an appeal, but he did a 15-year bid, and during that 15-year bid, he said, "Listen, I didn't blame no one whilst I was in there because I knew I did the crime. What did I expect?" And there's not enough people who do that these days. There's not enough people who do the crime, get sentenced, and say, "You know what? This is as a result of my behaviour. I am here. I put myself here." Too many people. "Oh man, it's because of my upbringing. I didn't have a mum and a dad." No, you're still an adult. It's not as if you weren't. Fair enough. If you're a 12-year-old child and you get caught doing a crime, fine. But when you're a 30, 40-year-old man who has children yourself, who have a family yourself, I'm sorry, all that stuff of how you were brought up and all this other business, it's no good. It's too late at that point. You've got until you're 18. If you want to do crimes until you're 18 years old, in my opinion, you get a bly. After 18, you are an adult, and you have to make your own choices. Regardless, you're here now. Regardless how you got here, regardless how bad your upbringing was, you're here now, and you must be responsible, or the system will make you responsible, as Mel Murda's finding out now. He's finding out real quick. Or it'll be real long. He's finding out the long way how to get responsible. Because you see him now talking about how he wants to be responsible. Well, it's a shame, really, that it's taken a 40-year bid, a 30-year bid to get him thinking responsible again. But listen, the system works in that sense. The system in this case has truly worked because he hasn't even been sentenced yet. And he's already talking about how good he wants to be. But you should have been thinking about, that's my problem. This is what I try and tell people. I'm only a young man myself, but I implore anyone out there listening. If you're thinking about doing these things, start thinking now about how you're going to feel when you get slapped down a 30-year bid. Because that's what you're going to get, ultimately. You're going to end up dead or 30-year bid. There's nothing cliche about it. That's what's going to happen. If you think I'm lying, tell me some examples of 80, 70-year-old dons who made it. Because all the 70, 80-year-old dons I know, Frank Lucas and whatnot, they're all snitches. All of them. Every single one of them, every single one of them that's on road now is a snitch. Certified. So you're either going to snitch, or you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life, or you're going to be dead. One of them three. Make your choice. Or you can get a square job like everyone else has to do, not make good money, but you'll be with your wife and kids. That's a trade-off here. Too many people, they want their cake and they want to eat it. It don't work like that these days. It's one or the other. Anyway, let me finish off what this goon had to say. He says, yeah, so please allow me to return to them as soon as possible, he continues. I don't need, this is funny, look, I don't need a whole lot of time to fix myself. I need counselling and for you to believe in me and see that I'm not the monster they paint me to be. This is madness, look. Here we go, look, this guy is full of self-conceit, he's full of self-admiration. I don't need a whole lot of time to fix myself. He's talking as if he's in a self-admitted rehab centre. Does that make sense? Yeah, I've admitted myself to rehab. I'm letting the rehab guy know I don't need long to... No, don't work like that. You are now a member. You are now incarcerated. You will now be told when you eat, when you shower, when you leave, most importantly. Yeah? It's almost like he believes this incarceration business, there's some level of give and take in it. Yeah, well, I'll speak to the judge, we'll decide my sentence. No, you will be sentenced with the full effect of the US law. That's what will be happening, 100%. There is no, I don't need a whole lot of time. The judge will let you know how much time. You've now lost the right. When you do these crimes, when you're involved in racketeering, you lose the right to decide how much time you think you need. Because guess what? If it was true that you did know how much time you needed, you wouldn't have been doing these crimes in the first place. If it was true you were able to discipline yourself, you wouldn't have been doing these crimes. So no, I don't think you do need how much time you need to fix yourself. And this other business part, I need counselling. Basically what he's saying is, I need to be on the outside. I need you, and this is weird, like he's trying to get some empathy. I need you to believe in me and see, what do you mean? And see that I'm not the monster they painted me to be. Well, I'm not massively sure of the particulars of his crime, but looking at the racketeering charges, looking at the narcotics charges, let's assume he did sell drugs. Well, you're sitting there saying, I'm not the monster they painted me to be. Well, you've sold narcotics which have killed people and destituted people to your community. Fact. So that is the monster you are. You have to answer for that now, in your incarceration, and the big man upstairs, you will be answering that question, no doubt. Now, am I perfect? No. Will I also have to answer questions? Yes. But this is the difference. I can sit there and say, whatever I've done in my life, I'm responsible for it. These guys can't. There's always someone else. I'm not the monster they point me out to be. Big 30, 40, 50-year-old man. Here we go, look. I got signed to Diplomat Records when I was 24 years old, and things were looking up to me. See what I mean? This guy, you know what? Street people in general, yeah? When I see roadmen who don't have music, who don't have other opportunities, they have bad upbringings, I have a level of empathy, because I get it, you know? You want these shiny things. We see Instagram, we see Facebook these days. It's hard to be broke these days. Yeah, it's people want the quick money. It's so easy to see all these people on the internet making quick money, making big money. You want a part of that. I understand that. But what gets me with these particular people like Mel Murda and this Jones, this cat here, is that he actually had a way out. He had a record deal. He'd made it essentially. But still, even though, same as TEKASHI, they make it. They make the big time. They don't need the street. They're rich anyway, and they want to go back to try and prove something. Like Chris Brown, trying to prove, it's stupidness, it's madness. And I'm sorry, people who do that, people who found a way out and go back to the streets, the only place for them is jail, because clearly they're incapable of thinking straight. Because me, If I get rich and it's legal, I'm going to be doing more of that rich legal stuff. Instead, these hood rats want to go back to jail, essentially, or want to go back to the street, the badness. So for me, it's almost a disease. They're attracted to it. No matter what you do, they'll go back there. Anyway, he goes on. I found myself staying away from negativity, but I was becoming very popular, and with that life came a lot of envy, money and women. This all caused me to lose the mother of my children, Dawn, because of my own cheating and inability to come home, because of the demands of touring life and life in the industry. I found myself become depressed and falling back to my old ways, going back on the streets because I was not happy. So, I mean, here we go again. This individual, Mel Murda, has an inability, even at 40 years old, he has an inability to take responsibility for his actions. And this, for me, I'm not being funny, he's talking about needing less time. This actually proves to me he needs more time. He hasn't actually learnt, because every step of the way he's not he's never taken any responsibility. He's saying stuff like, please believe in me, I'm not a monster. Yeah, I started getting good money when I was young, but then the envy. People started envying me. The women got to me. This all caused me to lose Dawn. You see what I mean? He's always blaming the fact that the money came and there was women around him and he was popular on the fact that he lost his wife or he lost his baby mum. Yeah? No, you did that. Yeah? The women didn't take your drawers off. The women didn't make you fuck them. Yeah? The money didn't make you start messing around with other women. The fame didn't make you start messing with other women. Does that make sense? Take some responsibility. You chose to be unfaithful. Bottom line. That's what you need to take responsibility for. And then he says here, oh, I found myself becoming depressed and falling back to my old ways. Yeah, once again, all as a result of your actions. And now the fact you sit here, I went back to the streets because I was not happy. This once again shows he's incapable of making good decisions. Therefore, you need to be incarcerated. You've proven time and time again you are incapable of making good decisions. Simple as that. Because you've rich and made it, but yet you're attracted to the streets. Anyway, that there is. I've read out the highlights, but I'll leave a link. In fact, during this video, I will have played all of the clips on this screen, so you will have to read it, or if you want to read it in its entirety. But essentially, I'm saying now, or throughout this video, I've explained my position. Not this dude. These big people, they need more time. If he gets 20 years, he needs 30 years in there, because they won't change. They'll never take responsibility and always be blaming someone else. As simple as that. Anyway, I'll be intrigued to see what you might think.